I recently came back from a conference and there were tons of vendors, lots of new software, and a million new tools that you can buy for your MSP, professional AV, or security company. No shortage to the amount of tools out there. But before you buy that tool, there are a few things that I notice all my clients make the same mistake, and I want to take you through some of that process just to make sure that you're optimizing your purchases and keeping everyone happy along the way. Now, before you buy a tool, when you buy a new tool, it can sabotage your process if you do it too early. One thing a lot of people don't talk about is that it can really upset culture, especially if you're making a change to your PSA software. It affects everyone end to end, and people can be really annoyed and upset because they have to learn a lot of new things at once. This can create a culture where people don't want to adopt new things. They don't like change. They get very frustrated and angry. They don't want to share new ideas. And of course, it's going to waste money and time, your money and your time if you're the owner, as well as waste everyone's time. And sometimes it's fixing the wrong thing. What do I mean by that? Well, when you look at it, you should be doing a gap analysis. You should be looking at what your specific needs are, and these might be unique to your organization before you buy any tool. So look through your current stack, look through your systems, and see if there's one process or one outcome that you're trying to improve. If that's a standalone process, if that's something external to your quote to cash process, and there is a tool that exactly matches, great. What you'll do is you'll make a list of all the requirements, everything that you need before you even look at any tools. Before you go and look at the tools available, write down and make sure you have an understanding of your process internally to make sure that you're looking at the right things. And then before you look at any of those tools, see if any of your current tools actually do have add-ons or modules or anything that could solve those needs prior to looking at those new tools. When you're doing this, don't be afraid to get your vendors involved. Your current vendors might be able to give you a really specific feature walkthrough. They can identify gaps. And how I recommend going about this is getting in touch with your account manager, sending them just a bullet point list of, hey, here are some of the features we need, or here are some of the things that we would like to be able to get out of the system, and ask them for a specific walkthrough of those requirements. You're not sitting through a brand new sales demo. Those tend to be very general and high level. If you set the agenda with something specific, you're more than likely going to be able to find out if the software you have can or cannot do this. If you go through that and you find out, yep, there's no way that our current system is going to be able to do this, we are going to go externally. Again, have that list of questions sent to the people who are going to be giving you the demos before you get the demos. You don't need feature dumps. You don't need, oh, the newest thing that's happening in our software, or these are the exciting things. You want to make sure that it's solving the problem for your company. When you get on a sales call with anyone who's trying to sell you a new product, make sure they have the list of your requirements and ask for those first. Or say, here are the questions I have. As you go through this demo, are you going to be answering those questions? This makes sure that you're respecting their flow. They might have a certain way of selling and they might have a certain way they like to do it, but they're going to keep your questions in mind as they go through and call out those specific areas of the software. Try and get a sandbox trial. I tend to have a lot of trouble sitting through a sales demo because I like to get in, I like to click things, I like to try and break the software. So if you are able to get a sandbox, it's amazing. You can find out very quickly if something's going to work for your process or not. A lot of really good vendors do offer a sandbox environment. If you are going to buy it correctly. At this trade show I was at, so many of the vendors say that their clients, you guys, are taking a long time to make a decision, or you're wishy-washy, you're not sure. it's probably because there wasn't a really strong needs requirement built out in the first place. If you do decide to move forward with a tool, be a good customer. Have one internal champion within your organization who's going to own and be responsible for this software. I don't mean that that person needs to know everything about it, but they should be a point person for the external consultants or the external implementation team and your internal team. Having one point of contact who's documenting everything, who's putting everything in one place is extremely helpful. Make sure that you have a timeline and a goal of when you would like to go live. If you say, oh, we're not sure about the go live date, I tend to see implementations stall and fumble. And this is where things really get messy because people are using half the software, they're using it incorrectly. And then by the time I come in, there's so much dirty data that the first little bit of the implementation is actually cleanup. Always document learnings as you go. So this internal champion, if they get asked questions, if there's something that they learn or if there's a best practice, I really recommend doing a Loom video of a 1 to 2 minute video on how to do something or what the best practice is and storing that in an internal database that you can search and access later. Then if that person leaves or gets promoted, their knowledge has been put down and is in a searchable format. So first off, you need to know your business need. Be process first, make sure it's specific to you and that you've identified what gap in your process you're looking to solve. Check and talk to your vendors about what you are already paying for and try and get the most out of the software that you've already implemented and people have already been trained on. Once you do decide quickly and implement properly. Take the time to implement, have one person who's in charge of being the go-between between the two systems, and then finally document everything as you go through this process. It can be scary, but the more you do this, the more you're documenting, that needs analysis is going to grow as you continue to implement new software. And eventually you should be able to look at your stack and know exactly what each of those softwares does for you and how it solves a business need internally.